largest voter registered election districts in, we say half, but basically to split them from 5 to 10. And in that proposal, as I have given to you, those precincts are Cornwall, Jackson West, North Cornwall North, South Londonderry Campbelltown, and Swatara. So those are the ones that we have targeted as having a very high number of registered voters. And in this proposal, you'll see where we have elected how we would like to rename them, how would we like to split them, what the approximate number of registered voters would be in that if we do go ahead with this petition. And then behind you is the maps that actually show, and I can bring those forward if you would like. I have smaller versions here of actually how that will look when we do split that. Basically, and then I also did a verbal description of what the boundary lines would be as well. So that information I have with me. Unfortunately, our solicitor wasn't able to be here this morning. He would have the actual petition that would be filed. As soon as I have a copy, obviously we'll give that to you. But I'm here to request to actually have that filed with the Court of Common Pleas because that would need to be approved by a judge for that, after obviously if the board agrees for that to go forward.
And to walk through some of the numbers might be helpful.
Yeah, we can if you'd want to go through some of the numbers. I would just make a general statement that the move to do this, the Board of Elections and the commissioners, of course, and our director had some concerns after the last presidential election. I know personally, I can speak to South Londonderry. We were out there very late getting folks in that were waiting in line across the parking lot and out to the street to get in to vote. So we knew that we had to take some steps. So Michael has been very, very proactive, and he found new polling places and got the whole thing in order. And what this we're dealing with today is a petition to have this filed with the court, with the judge.
Yeah, and if you don't mind, I would like to say, you know, we went into this process looking at 2018 as doing countywide redistricting. So I don't want it to think, okay, if you were number 6 on the list, we're like, oh, well, you're fine. It was actually part of our goal to look at countywide this past year. Kind of what happened was the directive to have new voting systems that was put in place by the governor to be in place for this year. So when that occurred, it was kind of, we had two things going on at once. And so I had presented the idea of looking at the top 5 to do something about those immediately, and then we will address the others in the future.
Phase 2.
Yes, so it's kind of, exactly, I think that's the best way to look at it. This is not the end of it. I think that we need to do a better job of making sure we're looking at this going forward as the population moves, shifts, increases in our county, and so that everybody has, you know, what happened in South Londonderry Campbelltown is absolutely uncalled for and shouldn't ever happen again. And so it's something we definitely will make sure going forward we're very active about. So, you know, as this goes out, I don't want people to think that we didn't think about the other locations that we know that have a large number. It's just that we had to focus, kind of had to set our, what did we think we could definitely accomplish now, and then kind of move forward. Did you want me to go through some of the numbers? I didn't know what we officially just...
Yeah, you could just, the offsets, what it's going to
Sure,
do.
okay. So I just went in alphabetical order. So basically with Cornwall, they had roughly 3,587 registered voters, and so we are looking to have that split to what we are going to consider a Cornwall North, which would stay at the Sacred Heart Parish Center, which is the current polling location, and that would be roughly 2,131 registered voters, and a Cornwall South. We had some issues looking for polling locations in the south, so we, at this point, have talked to the Cornwall United Methodist Church about possibly filling that location. And just so it's known, basically what we did with this is that we have just got interest from these individuals in these locations. We have to do a whole survey. Myself and my staff will go out there. We have a whole Help America Vote Act survey that we will need to fill out. So these are just people that have, locations have expressed an interest, and we still have to work through some of the details with that. So I did want to make sure that that was clear. But basically then that location would be 1,456 registered voters. In Jackson West, right now we have 4,039 registered voters. And this was as of the election. These are the numbers that we had on Election Day in 2018. So we did that roughly right after we were able to finish everything up. Jackson North would be created, and so West would be split in two. So we would have a Jackson North, which would become the voting at the Kutztown Fire Company. That registered number of voters would be 1,733, and then we would still continue to have a Jackson West, which would still vote at the Jackson Township building. That number would be 2,306. Then we would have North Cornwall North. Right now the registered voters in that district is 2,831. We would continue to have North Cornwall North, still voting at the North Cornwall Township building. Registered voters would drop to 1,470. And then we would create a North Cornwall West, which they would vote at the Faith Baptist Church on 22nd Street, and that registered voter number would be 1,361. South Londonderry Campbelltown would be split, and basically what we're going to be doing here is renaming all 3 election districts in South Londonderry. So right now Campbelltown has 4,435 registered voters. We would make a South Londonderry North. They would vote at the Community Bible Church on Forge Road. That number would be 2,340. South Londonderry Middle, which would be considered the old Campbelltown. That would still be at the Campbelltown Fire Company. The registered number of voters there would be 2,095. And then we would change the name for South Londonderry Lawn to South Londonderry South, just to kind of keep our naming mechanism the same. And they would have 1,190 registered voters there. And then last would be Swatara, registered voters 2,965. We would create Swatara North, which would continue to vote at the Swatara Township building, 1,244 registered voters. And then we would have a Swatara South, which would be the Bunker Hill Fire Company on Moore Road, and the registered voters would be 1,721.
I'll move that we adopt these changes and bring our number of precincts in phase 1 to 60.
Correct.
To be exact on the motion, to include filing the petition with the court as the election board, so if you wouldn't mind.
Well, I would second.
I'll second the motion, and also again say thank you. I know how much work this has been. You've been under a lot of pressure, and it was needed. We were the last in the state, as was mentioned earlier, to turn in our results from our last presidential election. I mean, and people wondered what was going on. It was just we had so many voters, which is a good thing, but they didn't understand that.
Absolutely.
So this is going to correct that.
Absolutely.
Too much of a good thing.
Yes.
Can't have that.
Correct.
All right, any other discussion or questions? If not, I'll call for the question. All those in favor of approving this and having it forward to the courts indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. Anything else to come before the board?
That was what I had
Not,
to do.
I'll accept the motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All right, we're
Thank you.
adjourned.
And I'll leave the maps there in case you wanted to take a